Back to MGD 111 Photoshop. Now we're going to start looking at some more esoteric parts of our transformation tools. So we have our image open here again. So far, all we've done is we've taken something and we've kept it in a more or less rectangular shape, or at least some sort of geometric shape like this. Sometimes we want to be able to do something a little more complicated. I mean, this is a flag after all. It's not always going to be rigid and rectangular like this. Be nice if we could bend it and twist it. Well, guess what? We have some really cool transformation tools in here. We're going to go to one under Transform called Warp. Now this is pretty cool, and it takes a little bit of understanding to do this one properly, but basically, if we take a good close look at it, we have what looks like a 3x3 grid, but what we really have here is a set of handles for Bezier curves. Bezier curves, of course, are mathematical curves that go from one point and try to follow a tangent and smoothly move to the next point. So if you look closely at the tops of these lines here, these purple lines, there's a little dot. If I grab that dot, turns out that dot is actually a handle, and what it's doing is it's pulling this particular line, it's pulling it away from where it was, and it's allowing it then to curve back to the other end point here. Now you'll notice as I do that, I can do two things. I can move it up and down, and I can also move it, if I move that dot sideways, you'll see it also stretches the point of that curve, or I can also squish the point of that curve. So it takes a lot of practice to be able to make these things work properly, but you can see we're starting to get this nice flag shape here. If I just grab these corners and start messing with them like this, I can make that work. Now, you'll notice when I grabbed this top one up here on the left, it only affected the top line here. You'll notice that the left edge here was not affected. So there's a corner here and nothing was affected beyond that. But you can see we have handles down here as well. So if we move those around, we can start distorting and warping and bending the edges there too. I can also grab just any point on the edge and move it, and what that's going to do is it's going to, you'll notice that both Bezier handles on that particular line are moving as well, so it's going to try to create a smooth transition from one point to the other, and it will sort of scale the curvature of those Bezier handles, if you will. I can also just grab somewhere in the middle of the picture and tug on it. And you'll see it's kind of interesting here. I'm up near the top left corner, and you notice that corner is moving. The other corners are not moving. They're staying put. This is something where it's kind of hard to figure out exactly where to grab these things. The further I move to the middle, you'll see that the corners stay put, and I'm just moving the center of the image. The further I move out to the edge, it wants to move that edge. So it's a very pliable type of transformation here. And all that I've done here, I'm going to zoom back out so you can see our menus, all of this is still considered one step in our history. It's just the puppet warp step. So with a little bit of practice we can start to get a shape that sort of mimics a flag here. It's kind of cool. You notice we can move the corners too, so we don't have to just move these handles. We can grab a corner and move it. The thing is, the Bezier handles don't move along with it, so we have to sometimes readjust those. But with practice, we can get something that sort of looks a little bit more flag-like. So we can apply other transformations to it, and hey, that looks pretty neat, doesn't it? Some additional warped ideas coming up here in the next lesson. So again, practice with that, but then let's go back to our original state here, and we will continue learning some more transform tools.